Y'all don't know your history, and it's beginning to show.
Please do go back and watch Empress Onyx's videos. Um, One of the reasons why I had a lot of trouble sleeping last night, and I'm gonna be honest, this is just gonna be me talking about my feelings, my experiences. I'm gonna do very little in the way of proving many of my points. Um, I go on news been purges a lot, and I have been on for a while, and I did hear about the Carlee Ellison story. Is it Ellison? See, I'm not even quite sure of her name because, but I did know what was going to happen. I knew that as soon as there was a question about, how, what about the details, that she was going to be immediately pilloried, and we were going to be hearing all kinds of callbacks to other things where people feel like they understood that the person was lying. And the thing is about this stuff, when it does, even when it happens that way, and I'm not saying it did because we do not know yet what her story is. All we do know is that she's home safe, and I'm glad of that. Um, is that when you are, when something, a particular kind of terrible happens to you often enough, or you're threatened with it often enough, and people care about it little enough for long enough, the in those cases where people actually make things up or exaggerate things, that is when it happens. It doesn't just come from, oh, I want attention, and so now I'm going to do this thing. Look, I could have been her if it turns out that, she was not telling the full truth, and I don't know that. I have no reason and no reason to believe that that's no one has proven anything to me. But I understood. I Even if she had, I understood it. The first time I experienced a feeling of sexual unsafeness along with a feeling that someone wanted to hurt me, I was like 7 years old. And the person who was doing it was older. He was like 12. He was like 11 or 12. And I was aware of a couple of things about him. I was aware that he wanted to hurt me, and that there was some kind of attraction thing that I couldn't put into, I didn't have the capacity to understand, that I recognized that it was somehow sexualized as I got older. Okay? White boy. And that it's a particular kind of attention that if you spend enough, if you're a Black woman who has spent enough time in enough spaces with enough white people, that there's a possibility that you have experienced. And I recently had a similar experience, a vibe from a guy I'm in community with, that he was very attracted to me, and he also wanted to hurt me. And he verified that in a conversation. Um, it wasn't inappropriate. The context of the conversation did not make it completely inappropriate for him to say that, but I also knew he was saying it because he wanted me to know it. And then I spent the next few weeks trying to get my head around the idea, the fact that this man was so willing to admit like how dark his racial fantasies were, and that he did so intentionally in response to something I said to him. And I don't care if he has like passive aggressive cover to say that he was just answering a question. What I know is that he wanted me to know what was on his mind. It is gross. It is it is a kind of it's a kind of like sexual threat that is unique, I think, to racialized women, particularly Indigenous and Black women in this country. And and it's the kind that almost always comes from white men, and almost always only comes from white men, because they also are aware that in their lives they have the power structure that backs them up, which means that if they do decide to act on their little fantasy, that the likelihood is that nothing will happen to them. It is so, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn how how much the facts align with what she's experiencing, what she's saying she experienced in this moment, because I understand that, especially given where she lives. I was raised in the North, right? But especially given where she lives, this is a daily fact of her existence. And I know that's not something that people are gonna, and that doesn't matter. But what it did do was it started me thinking last night, because I still have no idea where to put the feeling of someone wanting to let you know that, if they choose to, that your safety is their option, needing you to know that in a conversation with a group of other people, and none of those people feel like they need to say anything to him about what he just said or what he just implied. That is a specific kind of experience that, regardless of your history of sexual violence, that you only really experience when it's aimed at you by white men and you're a Black or an Indigenous woman. Because nobody's coming to your rescue. Nobody's going to check in with you and say, hey, that was really weird what he just said. Are you okay? Nobody's going to say, hey, look, don't say that. Don't do that. And, I and I'm being hyperbolic here, maybe, but I do know that in my situation, nobody did any of those things. And everybody, when I did try to like talk about how how what it dredged up for me, his doing that, everybody wanted me to dismiss it. Everybody was dismissive. Everybody was like, don't let him get to you, without understanding, like, I have a history in this country. I have a specific history in this country of being fair fucking game. And that Indigenous women in this country still have that existence. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen to us still, it does. But I think that enough noise has been made for Black women, at least, that we're at least aware of it going on or having gone on. But the rates at which this shit is happening to Indigenous women and their perpetrators are just given passes or not even looked at is disgusting. And it's the thing that shows me the most how little progress we've made. So I am very glad that she's home. I'm glad that she's home safe. I'm sorry for whatever happened to her. And I hope and I wish for her healing and a feeling of safety that she clearly has not been able to experience up till now.